Hey, happy Wine Wednesday. How's it
Happy
going,
Wine Wednesday to you, Mira Boucher, to you,
Shay?
all of you Canadian wine lovers across the country. What a week. I don't know, I want to ask you, how are you doing today? But how can you go not amazingly excited when it's a Thomas Bachelder week? Come on.
Exactly, right? Because, I mean, look, this is the flashback to last summer, right? We landed in Niagara. It was supposed to be a morning drive by, and it turned out to be an evening drive by to Thomas Bachelder's winery. And we ended up with this at
Yeah.
about midnight.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably like at that time, yeah, it's midnight and we're just starting to taste all of that things. And you had to drag me to bed. And
Well, me
because
too.
I know, I was just like, oh my God, I didn't want to stop everything. It was just such a night of discovery. And it started that long journey of fascination. Like literally, it's so fascinating about his way of doing thing, is unique philosophy that we don't have here in Canada, or very little. And everything he does, he's taking it to the next level. So old world French Bourguignon style. So anyway, like the fascination about his program was so deep all year long. And here we are. Here we are. It's February 2023 after doing my top 10 wine of the year, where I like the picture you just showed, right? That number 2 wine of the year came out of that lineup exactly that night. That's when we tasted the 2019 Wismer Foxcroft Knoll. And I remember like being side by side with the Grimsby Hillside and being like, uh, uh,
It's so good.
remember? And there was also the Wismer Wingfield
Yeah.
West that we lonely, like that has these three where we were, okay, yes, I'm talking about exclusively Chardonnay now because that's where my attention always stuck when I'm like a kid with no attention span, right? If there's Chardonnay, at some point here, I'd lose all of the focus somewhere else. But this week, and that's funny because it's been 2 weeks now. Last week, we've tasted them all. And it's something I'm going to talk a little later on. It's incredible that these wines are still holding the road. Like these wines are still almost 2 weeks in, been shining and showing incredible stuff. So, yeah,
Really
it's
good.
pretty. Oh, Summerland Secondary School just called. So, sorry, I
Yeah.
couldn't pick up. So, yeah, so I have Daryl. Like, good evening, Daryl. I like talking about it's all about Pinot. I agree with you. Like, Thomas is about Pinot as much as it is about Chardonnay. But yeah, there was such a revelation. So, things started in June. 8 months later, my fascination is still such a high level, but now my appreciation is just even higher. My like my level of understanding is so much better about what he's doing, how is he doing it, and his whole philosophy behind it. And now to have the privilege to taste the wines side by side per like varietals, like that's what made that the last couple of weeks so special, because I had the Pinots, I had the Chardonnays, I had the Gamay, and to taste them side by side now, it makes so much freaking sense.
Well,
So
here's what's really interesting about Thomas Bachelder. Okay. These are just some of the wines, probably about 18 there. He makes what, 27 different
40,
wines?
27 different wines. Yeah.
But 3 varietals.
Oh, only 3 varietals.
And they're
Pinot
all
Noir?
single varietals, right? Like he doesn't make any blends.
No. The only thing that he blends different barrel of 1 grape varietals from the same single vineyard. That's what he does. Like he has 3 village wine, 3 of his appellation wine, 1 Chardonnay, 1 Pinot, 1 that he takes wines from different parcels. But all of the other wine, all of the 27, there's 5 who are village. That's mean different vineyard blended together. So 27 minus 5, it's 22, right? 22 of these 27 wines, they're all single varietals. 22 of the 27 are single vineyard. So, like, that's where we're talking about precision, about purity, about authenticity of varietals, and about terroir. And yeah, it's just like, it's fascinating because there's so little amount of people in our country who operates that way. So yeah, it's an incredible precision. So we'll go through the whole lineup that we have to offer, because I'm still like, if you're home and you're a wine lover, plain and simple, a wine lover, you need to have a few Thomas Bachelder wines in your cellar. If you don't have a cellar, you still need to have a couple bottles of Thomas Bachelder wines on your counter. This is a must. You need to understand the purity of these varietals, and we have them right in front of us here. And some of them are not available anywhere else. That makes it even more special. And he's a bit of a legend. He's a bit of a cult. He has a cult following, and I'm definitely part of that. I'm and that's funny because I kind of got scared to be a little stressed or to be a little bit nervous to be sitting down with him and then with the interview and all that. And just because of who he is, the level of understanding of what he does is just so above and beyond everyone else. So yeah, it's Bachelor Weeks. It is. That's where we're at Carl's Wine Club. So it's a big moment for us, I would say, because that's the jewel of the Canadian wine industry, to my opinion. So here we are. How do you feel about the whole thing?
Rated set of wines, highest rated selection. There's 10 wines, right? And that's the highest rated one I think we've ever done since we.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. So, should we get on to meeting Thomas? So Thomas was traveling today, right? I think driving.
Well, we're not gonna get there just yet. I want to go through a little bit of the journey of Niagara a little bit. Come on, yes, it's all about Thomas, but I want people to understand our vision, our perception of that. And I want to give people a little bit of a rundown of what we've tasted, because I think I want people to hear Thomas. I want people to know about Thomas' philosophy, but I want people to know how I perceive these wines and how do you perceive these wines through our tasting notes and scores, because you just mentioned it. This is the highest ever feature that we've done, and so I want to go through the wines a little bit, just quickly, rapid fire and scores, if you don't mind.
Love it.
Curiously enough, how about we start with but we'll start with the Chardonnay, but first and foremost, okay, I want to welcome everyone in French as well. Tous nos amateurs de vins francophones de la belle province de Québec. C'est la semaine des vins de Bachelder. C'est la semaine des vins de Thomas Bachelder, qui a passé des années en Bourgogne, des années en Oregon. Il est revenu à la maison à Niagara. dans les années 2000, et puis là, maintenant qu'ils nous offrent un portfolio de vins avec une purité exceptionnelle, des vins qui sont précis, des vins qui sont purs, des vins qui sont expressifs à un niveau qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'autres producteurs au pays qui nous offrent. Donc, cette semaine, on vous présente les vins de Bachelder, les Pinots Noirs, les Chardonnays, les Gamay. On est excités parce que c'est quelque chose de très unique. Il y a des vins dans ce portfolio-là qui sont pas disponibles nulle part avec nous. Donc, une relation qu'on a commencé à bâtir l'an dernier, l'été passé, quand on a rencontré Thomas pour la première fois, goûté les vins pour la première fois, et depuis ce temps, une appréciation incroyable pour qu'est-ce qu'il fait. Donc, on est excités, on est absolument excité de vous présenter ces vins. Donc, on vous revient un petit peu plus tard en français. J'ai une petite partie d'entrevue avec Thomas en français qu'on va vous présenter. So, bon bonjour à toute notre gang en français, les gens de la ville de Québec, les gens de toute la province de Québec, des Maritimes, de toutes les régions francophones du pays. On vous souhaite un beau mercredi. It's Bachelder Week. Yes, it is, Mira Boucher. And what is in our glass? So we have Les Villages Chardonnay here. So rich and like opulence, concentrated, full of texture. And a little bit later, I have a little bit as well of Les Villages Gamay on my side. Mira has the last bit of the Laurie Wild West and Pinot Noir on our glass. So here we are, and that's what we have in our glass. So some Les Villages Niagara-on-the-Lake. So because Thomas drew 2 bottling of Les Villages Chardonnay, he split them into 2 regional appellations of Niagara, Niagara-on-the-Lake Village, where you have a barrel of Wilms Vineyard, couple barrels of Bijou Vineyard, and also I think there's 5 vineyards blended in Les Villages Niagara-on-the-Lake, so all of the grapes from Niagara-on-the-Lake. So that's the one we have in our offer. Unfortunately, Village Bench is completely sold out. He had a promotion with the Village Bench earlier, late last year. So there was much less available this year, so not available. So we have Niagara-on-the-Lake, but I'm happy about that because it gives a complete other perspective of what he does. Yes, he does a lot of wine with precision, with restraint, leaner, but that Niagara-on-the-Lake is just rich and opulent. We gave it, I think it's a 92 points, if I'm not mistaken. Mira, I will need your help here with Village and OTL.
Yeah, I'll tell you in a sec here. So I'll post the link too if anyone wants to check out the tasting notes as we are chatting.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah,
10 wines in this selection because he makes 27, and like how the heck do you choose?
And also plus that, there's a few of the wines from last year that we could have. So anyway, so there was so much.
Les Villages is 91.
91 points, Les Villages, Niagara-on-the-Lake. So now when we're talking about Bachelder, we also talk about the price point where it's a little bit higher than what some people are usually used to buy wine at a certain price point, right? So Thomas with Les Villages now is bringing his price point down from the 50s and 60s and 70s down to the 30s. So at $35, including tax, Les Villages bring a great value proposition with also, and so what I think for me, it's all about richness. It's all about a bit like the Russian River Valley. This is a little bit more California style, and not surprising that it's coming from Niagara on the Lake. So, and they Thomas are not using or very little using of new oak. So mostly third fill or neutral oak. He used the barrel mostly to bring texture and to bring minerality up to the like to the frame of the wine, not to use the wood or the oak flavors. That's not his philosophy at all. So, and you have the whole it's on full display here with Le Village. Also, still from Niagara on the Lake, the oldest vines from the Chardonnay vines from Niagara on the Lake, from the Bijou vineyard, 93 points, Carl's Wine Club. This wine brings spice, brings flowers, brings a little hint of minerality. That's the little transition, right? Still Niagara on the Lake, but a little announcement of the style, of the precision of Thomas Bachelder before we move to the real kingdom of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, who is the escarpment, where is the bench, right? So Bijou was pretty impressive to me. I did not expect that depth and that minerality coming out of Niagara on the Lake. But when you look at it, 42 years old vines, that's for Canadian vines. It's old. For Canadian vines, it's something that we're not used to. Now, you taste it and you're like, whoa, okay. That riverbed, that seashell, like that, these little like mineral components are just popping out into that big, fleshy or opulent, creamy Niagara on the Lake aroma, the white peach in there as well. It is just so cool. 93 points. I really, really enjoyed that one. So now from the Village to the Bijou Niagara on the Lake, we go to the cream of the crop. Listen, I could have put 10 Chardonnays for that offer, but people may have like say, Carl, can you please select wines for the members, maybe not just for yourself? So I had to restrict myself to only 3, right? The idea was to put 3 of each of his varietals. I couldn't. Oh, I still had the 4th one, but yeah, we did. This is Wismer Foxcroft. No, this is the 2020 vintage. So last year, Mira, remember our number 2 wine of the year with the Wismer Foxcroft 2019. We had the privilege to taste the 2020 now. So, and when you look at the reviews, I did it after, because I always look at the review after I rate the wine myself. I want to see my score compared to the others. And yeah, I give it a 95. Last year, I was at 96 with the 2019 vintage. And I rated this one, the 2020, 95 points. And you look at what others have rated them, 96 points from Wine Align, 95 points from, I think it's Jamie Good, 94 points from Rick Van Sickle, so Anthony Gismondi as well. Just so you know, when Gismondi...
Globe and Mail. Yeah, Gismondi never gives such high ratings.
Gismondi gives 94 points to this wine. So, yeah, you know. So that was a 95 point. The difference to me between 2019 and 2020, the vintage was much warmer in 2020. So it brings more tropical flavors, not as the frame of acidity is not as obvious in the 2020 than in the 2019. I personally believe that the 19 might have a little bit more of aging potential with the 19. What brought the 19 to the absolute next level of my appreciation, it was everything that the 2020 has, but the brighter acidity. To me, 19 for Chardonnays is a better vintage for Chardonnay than 2020 is. My personal opinion. And that's funny because I had a lengthy conversation with Thomas on a phone call a couple months ago about 19 versus 20. And not to mention that we were completely agreeing on 19 versus 20. But lots of people out there really love the opulence, the richness, the power of 2020 vintage. What's bringing that wine? So now the Wismer Foxcroft Knoll is a very, very special parcel of wines where, yes, tropical, orchard, richness, creaminess, power. It's all in the same, but there's also that minerality, that backbone was like absolutely spectacular. And the finish, right? Thomas used exclusively a natural yeast, so that's natural fermentation. It brings that, and it's 20 Mile Bench, right? And we often talk about that with some people from BC, where we're starting to detect that 20 Mile Bench finish. Right? That little like sweeter caramel on the back end, something very unique.
Is that also where the Pearl Morissette, highest rated wine ever, that's also where that's from, right?
20 Mile Bench. 20 Mile Bench, absolutely. Also Westcott, the Westcott, the Grand Vineyard. So anyway, all of that. So the very special place on the 20 Mile Bench, and this Bachelder Knoll, it's going to be right in there again for the top 10 wine of the year this year. I have no doubt about that. It was my 95 points here, and also really highly rated from multiple other sources in Canada. Wine Line, Gismondi, Van Sickle, name them all. We are all on the same page, all 95 and 96 and 94 points. So, and I think, what's the production there? I think it's 100 cases produced or something like that. So, yeah.
Very small. They're all
really, very, very, very small. We're talking about like 4 barrels, so extremely, extremely small. So that's for the Chardonnay selection. And also, just so you know, we added the 2019. If you look in the bonus pick, the 2019 Knoll Wismer Foxcroft is also available. If you look for that on the web, this wine is not available anymore, not available anywhere. But when I told Thomas that we had his wine at our number 2 wine of the year, he put a few cases aside just for this offer. So now we are, if you guys want, any one of the member who wants to add our number 2 wine of the year into the selection, it is available this week only. Okay? So that's for the Chards. Before I jump into Pinot, I want to do a little quick hint about the Gamay, because maybe, Mira, you can tell our people a little bit about my background about Gamay. Let's put it that way.
Well, and I think I feel the same way, Carl. Gamay is not our favorite varietal. Let's say that. And I think for Carl, like, he has to work on his, not having his personal bias in there if he's tasting Gamay, because it's just not, it's not a favorite, right? Like, he can still tell you, like, for a Gamay, this is this rating or whatever, and be as impartial as possible. But on a personal level, not necessarily the first wine we choose to stash in the cellar, the first varietal, right? But the ones we tasted from Thomas Bachelder completely blew us away.
And especially the Bijou. The Bijou Gamay, I give it a 93 points. It changed my narrative about Gamay. I truly, truly, truly enjoyed that wine on a personal level. Outside of the fact that it was a 93 points, incredible typicity of varietals, incredible representation of what it is, incredible lift, like a lift, a snapshot of what Niagara on the Lake can do in terms of power and concentration. That's not your typical gamay that you think that it's something light, that you can serve chill better. No. We're talking about a serious darn fucking wine. I'm telling you. It was mind-boggling. I couldn't and for 35 or 30, I think it's $35. I was like, Jesus moly, the seriousness, the complexity of Bijou Gamay, it's absolutely off the darn chart. So I lost my mind on that. I was just so incredibly impressed. And for wine that's not available anywhere,
it's $29 including tax.
$29, like including tax. So like an absolute beauty. If you're not sure about Gamay, and if you're like me, this is not your jam, this is not necessarily the thing that you go for, get a couple bottle of that. It's really worth it in the sense that it changed my mind forever. Like, this is something that I will put out of the cellar when I host people in terms of seriousness of the wine. It's serious. It's complex. It's deep. It's everything. So yeah, it was wow. And like talking about value, so the Les Villages Gamay, so for $24.95, like for $25, an entry level Gamay with that beautiful. It's not Beaujolais, it's Niagara Gamay. It's absolutely, it's great. It's worth trying it. And with Thomas Precision, it just makes it completely different. And I love the blend of ripe fruit. Some of them are a little bit red, more on red fruit. Another one is a little bit more on darker fruit. Like Les Naturistes. Les Naturistes is as rich as absolutely completely dark fruit. It's completely different, but the spice at the end, this is a type of wine you can bring spice on the finish, and you can find it also from Bijou, but also with Les Naturistes. Les Naturistes, it's from the Wilms Vineyard. So these are two of the Niagara on the Lake Gamay. So yeah, like beautiful Gamay portfolio, probably the top Gamay portfolio. I know that Malivoire does some outstanding Gamay. There's other producer who makes amazing Gamay, but going there and having 7 different Gamays and so typical, so precise and so incredibly unique from each other. And the price point are fantastic. So if you're a Gamay, someone who likes Gamay, enjoy Gamay, or someone who would like to find their first real love of Gamay, that's the way to go. That's the way to go. And that brings us to and I think Mira, even you, I know that I really enjoyed it, but I think you truly did as well.
Absolutely. It was really good. Really good.
Yeah, and in terms of Pinot Noir, I think that Thomas don't need presentation anymore in terms of his Pinot Noir portfolio. He's been known for one of the most serious Pinot Noir producer, and following that philosophy that he has, it's to extract the best of each and every parcels of land that he works with. What we have here this week is Les Villages Bench. So 5 different vineyard from the Beansville Bench. That's from his entry level $35 Pinot Noir from Thomas Bachelder. It went, I think, from critic standpoints, I gave it personally a 92 points, if I'm not mistaken. And some other people around went 92, 93, 91, all of them in that same bracket. I even see 94 for that $35 Pinot Noir. So an incredible Beamsville bench snapshot from Thomas Bachelder's Precision to for $35. So really, really well done. And we have the two very special pinpoint, very different as well from the Wismer Park 20-mile bench. Wismer Park, let's bring it here.
The Wild West.
The Wild West from the 20-mile from the 20-mile bench, okay, versus the Laurie Old Eastern Block from the St. David's bench. So we have two very, very, very different appellation here. The 20-mile bench versus the St. David's bench, who brings two wines completely different. The Wismer Park, the Wild West, it's richer, bigger, bolder, spicier, a little bit more coastal Oregon style. There's a nice salinity in there. But when you get to the Laurie, it's all about minerality and finesse. Very, very, the elegance in that wine is mind-boggling. The length, this is a really cerebral wine. The Laurie 2020 brings a minerality that you've rarely seen from 1984's vines. So old vines, but it extracts the best of what the soil has to give. And the Wismer Park is just that ripeness, that juiciness, that complexity between savoriness and dark fruit. It's just absolutely fantastic. So two very different Pinots from two different sides of Niagara. It's just showed the whole stream of skills and talent that Thomas has to just bring the best of the land, bring the best of what the terroir has to offer, and the grower as well in the vine. So here, that's what we have.
That's awesome. Daryl says he's got those ones, those beauties, the Pinots. We sure hope so, Daryl, because we know how much you like Pinot, and these ones are pretty special. Even for me, and I'm not normally like same as Gamay. Like for me, Pinot Noir is not like, I love some Pinot Noirs for sure, but it's not always like the first varietal I think of, you know? So for me, like anything Bachelder, I don't care if it's a Gamay, a Pinot Noir, or a Chardonnay now.
It's an experience in a glass. Every sip has something unique. That's the thing, right? Every single sip. And now for almost 10 days, okay, I have a pump. I have my little thing, but for over 10 days now, these wines were geeking out every day. I have a little bit of oxidation here on Le Village Gamay, but still, there's so much going on. Every day, every sips are different. It's just like it's an experience on its own.
Absolutely. So, hey, after we play the interview with Thomas, because he is traveling today, so that was recorded a little bit earlier today, we're going to give you behind the scenes of the Bat Cave too, right? This is where...
Did you find it?
Oh, yeah, I have that stuff. It's from last summer, the Bat Cave. Absolutely.
That's freaking awesome. So let's get to our conversation with Thomas. And after that, we're going to give you the behind the scene. And if you guys can't wait because the scores are too high or the wine sounds way too good, but you know what? The link will be posted right there in the chat box, and get yours. Go make your own selection. Like this is Yeah.
Yeah. So they've done something special right now for this week. So it's free shipping for 6 bottles or 200 or more, and it's $25 for less than that. So
Yeah.
either
And
way,
like there's wines in there that they are not available anywhere.
anywhere.
Like they are exclusively available for us. So yeah,
Totally.
it's very, very exciting.
Very good.
There's a
All right.
wine in there, and there's a wine in there that Decanter magazine have
Yeah.
rated 97 points.
Which one?
Huh?
Which one? Oh yeah, you have it written down here, right?
I think it's Bijou Gamay that I rated
Yeah.
93.
Decanter, the Bijou Gamay
Decanter,
Decanter gave it 97.
Decanter magazine gave
Yeah.
it a 97 points.
Yeah.
So
Decanter, okay, so they gave Bijou Gamay 97 points, and they like a lot of these wines. Like they've highly, highly rated a lot of Thomas's wines. So
yeah.
it's really good to see that.
Jamie Good as well from the UK, one of
Nice.
the most predominant journalists in the United Kingdom, has rated like 3 or 4 wines 95 points in that offer as well. So yeah,
Amazing. All right. Well, let's hear from Thomas himself, shall we?
shall we?
Yeah.
So here we are, Canadian wine lovers all across the country. I am with Thomas Bachelder, owner, winemaker, and I like to call him a vigneron in the old sense and the true sense of the definition. One of an iconic producer in Niagara. Thomas, good evening. How are you doing?
Good evening, Carl. It's lovely to see you, man. Yeah, last time I saw you, you were right here, and now you're a coast away.
Yeah, like back to cross-country conversation, but I have to tell you, last time we saw you in the care package that you sent me back to my rental home in Niagara Falls, Mira and I were like 2 kids in a candy store, and that really started an incredible journey of discovery of what you do. Thank you for that. Thomas, you have a very incredible background, and for me, when I read about winemaker and I see Bourgogne and I see Burgundy in their background, it always trigger my attention. So Thomas, you started your career or early on you were in Burgundy. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey in Burgundy?
Sure. I started as a home winemaker. I'm from Quebec. I'm Quebecois. I'm now Ontarian as well. And I'm also Burgundian and Oregonian. All these things have changed my life. But I was a home winemaker in Montreal who was a burgeoning journalist in wine for la presse spécialisée, on dit. And I couldn't stop there. I was working for a wine magazine, and I got into wine school in Beaune, Burgundy, because I was in love with Pinot Noir. And in Burgundy, Mary came with me. We were just married. And we fell in love also with Chardonnay, but terroir, In Burgundy, they would never call it Chardonnay. The plant is Chardonnay. It's Meursault, or it's Chablis, or it's Beaune, or it's Pulny-Montrachet. So they always refer to the village and then the parcel within the village. So we fell in love over there with Chardonnay. We already loved Pinot. I thought if I was a journalist for too long that I might end up just loving everything, which I kind of do. But really, when I want a glass of wine, it's going to be Pinot Noir. That's my first. Of course, I'm also in love with the other Burgundian grapes like Gamay and Aligoté. And of course, there's Pinot Gris in Burgundy called Pinot Bereau. And there's Pinot Blanc that a lot of people don't know. Savigny-les-Beaunes has the ability to do 100% Pinot Blanc. But my point is, it changed our lives. We went to our classmates' cellars. We learned about Burgundy from the inside, the small producers, not even the famous ones, just the ones doing terroir. And I have what I like to call the lavage de cervelle bourguignonne, the brainwash, the Burgundy brainwash. And so I believe that terroir exists everywhere. You just have to find it. I never knew that I would work mostly in the New World after that, but it has been very helpful because in the Old World, you work with established vineyards and you work with Les lieux-dits sont connus. The parcels are known. In the New World, you have to find those parcels yourself usually. There haven't been a lot of single vineyards in the history. Now they're coming in California and New Zealand and, Oregon and BC and Niagara and, of course, places like Prince Edward County. So that's where we set off on a journey of discovery. And then I worked for Lemelson Vineyards after Ponzi Vineyards, because I was at the school with Louisa Ponzi from Oregon. So that changed our lives. Our kids were young in Burgundy, out on the left coast near you. And after that, we came here for Le Clos Jordan in Canada. And what we did was we worked for Le Clos Jordan for 8 years. And then we started Bachelder. And we started at the same time Domaine Caylus. And now Kelly Mason is doing, as you know, Domaine Caylus. And we restarted Le Clos Jordan in 2017. And it's very exciting times for the Clos Jordan because I think we're 5 vintages in. We have a new CEO of Artera, and I think there's finally going to be a Le Clos building in the future, and people will be able to visit these famous terroirs. So Bachelder is doing 27 single vineyard.
27. Wow, what a growth. That's incredible.
And well, some of them are small. Some of them are 1 barrel. A barrel has 25 cases before the loss to lees and stuff. 25 cases, or let's say about 300 bottles plus or minus. And but 7 or 8 of them are Gamay, and 11 of them are Chardonnay, and Pinot is about another 8 or 9. And I think the main thing, if I could get across to, I know you know this, Carol, but to your viewers, if you want to do terroir, you have to limit the grape types. I can't do Riesling also and Cabernet Franc because then I will have so many varietal wines that I won't get a chance to explore the same varietal across many terroirs. So as we do this with the 3 Burgundian grapes that we have now, we cannot find Aligoté. Amélie Bourry, who's a good buddy over at Chateau de Charme, I can't get her to give me some because her plantation is so small. But we're working with growers all over the peninsula. Just like your club, it works with people from everywhere. So as we work with the growers, we actually find, and this is key, we find the grower who has Gamay and Chardonnay, or Pinot and Chardonnay. And when we do that, we have an aha moment. I'm like, what is it in this Chardonnay that I also see in the Pinot? So you have that with Foxcroft Vineyard and the bench here, Wismer Foxcroft, we have in Chardonnay. I know you love it, but we also have it in Gamay. And by Choux on Niagara-on-the-Lake, we have in Chardonnay and Gamay, both old vines from 81. You taste those 2, and despite the change of grape, you have the same terroir in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and the same with the bench here. You have a bench terroir, the Niagara Escarpment. So that's how we got to where we are today. It's a crazy path, but we just let life happen.
I know, like, that's funny because, like, my second question, I really wanted to know about, like, your philosophy, your inner philosophy about, like, from the vineyard to the crush pad to the barrel. So when you find a parcel and you fall in love with where the vineyard is located, with your vision, at the end, the vision is always the juice in the glass, right? How do you tell the story from the piece of land that you have spotted, meeting with the grower and having this in mind in your head? How could you extract the story from the land all the way to the glass?
That's a great question. I don't think anybody's ever asked me so well. I would say that when we were starting up Lemelson Vineyards in Oregon, 1999 to 2003, before I came to the Clos Jordan, we had 60 hectares. That's 160 acres of organics. We moved to Le Clos Jordan. We had 56 hectares, 138. So, I mean, where do you start? Well, you start by keeping apart east, center, and west, and you check it out over a few years, and then you start to taste the grapes in the vineyard, because you go, this one always gives me a perfumed wine, but it has good drive. I love it. Why is that? You taste it. I can see it in the grapes after 2 or 3 years. And so you divide up the parcels. So that was a domain, like Domaine Lemelson Vineyards or Domaine Le Clos Jordan. But for Bachelder, where we don't own these grapes, we're micro-négoce. Burgundy has lots of micro-négociants. Bordeaux has garagistes. It's a different thing. So we work closely with the growers to watch the viticulture, but also to get the part of the vineyard we think is cool. I love the vineyard in your presentation here, Carl, and I'm like thinking, okay, which part of that vineyard would give the best grapes? Well, you have to vinify it to find out. You keep it apart, and the one that is a little less personality is the one you put maybe into a village blend. And the one that is very distinct in its personality, that you try to preserve, even if it's not exactly the character that turns you on. You have to preserve its character. It's like having children. They're not going to be robot copies of you. You have to help them get where they're going. So I would think when you come out of school or when you start vinifying, Carl, to answer the question directly, you're very much focused on, I'm going to make great wine. What do I have to do? It's not a recipe, but you're very in love with the technique. But, like that's like a beer making or a cooking mentality where you have to get all the ingredients right and make it happen and follow a procedure. And there's lots of creativity, of course, in beer making. I love great beers and craft beers and classic beers. But I mean, in wine, it should be the opposite of a recipe. If you're doing terroir vinification or vinification parcellaire. So to do that, you have to get out of the way. And when I got out of wine school back in '93 in Bourgogne, I learned that, you need a long cold maceration and whole berry, not crushed berries, but whole berries, and gives beautiful fruit and very dark wines. Well, guess what? Times have changed. We still do the whole berry, but nobody demands dark Pinots anymore, or very less people demand. They're like, the sommeliers from today, they're like, oh man, I love the light color in this glass. It's like, wow, you didn't force it. You didn't push it. Sometimes the color is dark because the vineyard does that. And you have to ride with that. So the maceration time, the amount of punch downs or pump overs, en français remontage, the amount of times, or pigeage, the amount of times you do that is with thinking of the terroir. So to use a Burgundy example, I'm in love with Chambord-Musigny and like Volnay and Von Romani. I can't afford these ones. I can't find them. Right?
We can, right?
But these are wines that have beautiful strength, like a ballerina. So how do you extract enough to get that, but not so much so you don't make it into a darker appellation? You don't always want to swing for the fences. If a wine wants to get a single or a double, to use a baseball term,
that's it.
You don't swing for the fences, and that's it. And so then you get them into barrels. Natural wild yeast is the way to go for defining terroir, because the yeast grows in every vineyard a little differently. It grows in the year of the production. And then a wild malolactic or an indigenous malolactic. And then from then, press the Chardonnay, go to barrel as juice, let it ferment, and barrel the Pinot after it's dry, let the malo happen. And you have to be very selective about your barrels. You must avoid having a signature of your own, or having a signature would be a signature of clarity and transparency, let's say, a signature of clarity or transparency. So, but you do have to buy some new barrels, not so much for Gamay, but if you do not buy new barrels, you do not create good used barrels. So you don't have to, at the end of the day, when I'm declassifying a single vineyard from 10 or 12 barrels down to 3 or 4 that really sing of the terroir, the new oak could be in or out. I might put 2 new oaks and only 1 gets in. We would never go over 20% of new. But the thing is, those barrels, whether you use them or not in the final single vineyard, they come back to that same vineyard next year, because what's dissolved in the staves of the barrel, like behind me this side, those staves you see, what's dissolved is the same wine every year. I learned that when I was working in Meursault for Jeannot Boulanger, and there's an amazing domain next door called Coche-du-Riz. And so Jean-François at the time, he said to me, Thomas, I said, how do you have cru? Thomas, always, Jean-François Coche-du-Riz in Meursault, when I was living there, said, you've got to always use the same barrels for the same crus every year. So if you bring a new barrel in the next year, you can take out an old barrel, and that can go to your village, or you can just get rid of the barrel. But we keep our barrels a long time because more and more people love the effect of neutral barrels.
Yes,
Neutral
absolutely.
barrels, yeah, they don't give a lot of wood flavor, and they have ils sont très étanches. They don't breathe a lot. So the wine from an older barrel, if it's clean, is very tight and mineral. And a wine from a newer barrel, don't think oak here, but think oxygenation, is more round and structured and concentrated because the air breathes more, and so you have a more concentration, like a reduction sauce on the stove when you're making
Absolutely.
So that's how it goes. Hey, we have a visitor here, Carl.
There you go. That's the moment that I was waiting for. Hi, Mary. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yay.
Happy Family Day.
Thank you. Right back. Absolutely, it is. It is after a full weekend of hockey tournaments up and down the valley. Now we might gear up to take the kids skiing a little later. So we'll see what's unfold here.
Wow. Okay. So, Mary, why don't I finish the next question and then you come in and talk at the end, or you want to sit right now?
No, I'll let you finish.
Okay. Okay. I think I answered that last question, Carl. We good?
Yeah, but I just want to ask you one quick thing. If there's because I'm fascinating about who you're working with right now in terms of grower. What is the hot parcel, the hot sub appellation right now in Niagara? Because
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm hearing stuff like Grimsby Hillside right now. It's something or Laurie Vineyard. Obviously, Wismer Foxcroft has been a staple for years. So, what's one of the most exciting parcel to work with for you right now?
Well, as we get further into it, we look for growers, and we look for good single vineyards. We look for older vines, but sometimes they propose them to us. They say, hey, I've got a few rows of Pinot Noir. Are you interested? And we go check it out. And it comes to us in different ways. As time has gone by, we found there's a few hot parcels and hot areas. Like in Niagara, in the lake, the 4 Mile Creek appellation, a lot of people used to think, oh, that's too hot for Chardonnay and stuff.
The swamp.
That's wrong. They have Wilms, we have Bétor, and of course we have Baïchou on line 3, all old vines that express minerality, beautiful. I wouldn't taste them right after Wismer Foxcroft, just like I wouldn't taste a Puy Frisé right after a Chassagne Montrachet. I would do it 2 different nights probably, or I would lead in with Niagara Lake and then taste the bench. But basically, Niagara Lake surprises me for its old vine Chardonnay. I don't use hardly any new oak there at all to make sure I don't get in the way and make it too tropical. But we try to treat our babies the same, but some need different things. We try to stay out of the way. But the surprising thing is the Niagara Lake Gamay have a great freshness because Gamay is a high acid grape. So they get lusciously ripe, but they still have a great acidic backbone. So that's a surprise. And the second surprise is that we have one appellation called 20 Mile Bench that I believe should really be divided in 2. And it's around the 20 Mile Creek and the Jordan Harbor. On one side, it should be, I think, the Jordan Bench. And on the other side, it should be the Vineland Bench. So we work mostly with the Vineland Bench, but Le Clos Jardin, which is much chalkier, is all on the Jordan Bench. You also have Westcott up there, and you also have Flat Rock up there. But you have to be careful because those guys make wines from a few different places. But I would say Jordan tastes different from Vineland. And in Vineland, we have this beautiful Wismer Foxcroft Chardonnay, Wismer Wingfield, Hill of Wingfield, Gamay, Wismer Foxcroft, but also in Pinot, Wismer Park, Hank, the Wild West End of Wismer Park. So many great distinctive things. I think it's a combination of elevation and distance from the lake that makes both Jordan and Vineland, although slightly different, very cool place to grow Chardonnay and Pinot. But of course, and we also do the Beamsville Bench, but a recent discovery is Grimsby Hillside, which is a vast vineyard, which is so big it could almost become its own appellation. Right now it's called Lincoln Lakeshore because it's close to the lake, but much of that vineyard is clearly escarpment. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get that changed in VQA. There's a few of us who want to spearhead that movement, but there you have less of a protection of a combe or of an amphitheater like you have in Vineland, Jordan, of the escarpment. And the escarpment is a little lower, so the southwest winds can come across, or the northeast winds, and they keep that place very cool. It harvests late, and it makes very mineral and very lacy wines. They're lighter, I think, than most of the Vineland wines or Jordan wines, but they have a beautiful expression of minerality that we're just starting to understand. So far only in Chardonnay, but I'm hoping to get some Pinot and Gamay from there in the future, you know?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Thomas won in French because Thomas.
Yeah, we're back. So every time we talk to Thomas, okay, it gives me flashbacks the first time we met. It's like a portal to this other like realm.
Yeah.
Because he has such clarity about the way he describes these vineyard parcels, but such passion behind it. It's really, really remarkable.
I think it then, yes, passion, but to me, it's more about understanding and knowledge
Yeah.
than passion. He's so pragmatic about every single step of the way.
Yeah.
And he has such an incredible understanding of what's going to be extracted at every single level, depending of different factors. It's amazing. It blows me away how he understands each of these pieces of land, but so truly. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Can I show these guys? Can I show you guys a little glimpse into the Bat Cave?
So are you talking about what happened about 8 months ago, a year ago, when we went to the back? Oh, shit, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This is awesome.
So the sound is not fantastic, but I'll just play you a couple minutes. So when you go visit Thomas Bachelder in real life, okay, he's in Niagara, and you can't just drop by usually. You have to be a member of his email list, which is free to join. And if you buy wines through our feature this week, he will email you and say, hey, can I keep you on the email list? And he doesn't email super often. They do their releases on April 2nd and November 1st, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll email when the new wines are released, and he'll email when dates are available to come visit him for a complimentary free tasting at the Bat Cave. And these, like, you know, I'd say sell out, but they're not for sale. They're gone in a second. But if you get in there with him, he'll spend an hour with you at the Bat Cave and show you everything he's showing us here. And it's pretty spectacular.
I want to do my birthday party there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just amazing. So that's the way they do it. It's super simple. You know, you just get on their email list. You don't have to commit to anything. And then you get a few emails a year when the key things happen. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to visit, I highly recommend. So here's our little uncut.
Because the 20s, okay.
Look, I don't know where we're going.
You guys, I know, you can't know. So here, this shows you like the village is a combination of all of our single vineyards. So we put that out earlier. And
Thank you.
But there's no way we're gonna let the 20s out until the Toussaint. So I was influenced because of course I live so much in France. Why the Toussaints come out on November 1st is it's 2 years after the harvest. Mais l'autre raison, c'est qu'en France, il n'y a pas de Halloween, c'est le Toussaint All Saints. When you think of Halloween, it's Hallow, Holy Evening. Holy Evening of what? Of the Toussaint. But we made it into pumpkins in North America. So the Toussaint for me is all our saints, all crazy 11 Chardonnays and 9 or 10 Pinots. So that is 2 years after the release. So even though I bottled Les Villages, and we just started to put all the village where it comes from now, because we're trying to make it aspirational. We want people to visit Niagara and to dream of visiting the way we dream of visiting the Côte d'Or, you know. And but the important thing about this, we don't do this in the single vineyards. Single vineyards, all we do is the QR code, the general map of Niagara, and the close-up. See, it's terroir, terroir, terroir. When you're about terroir, you don't just say le nom du maison. Tu dis pas Bro Morissette, Clousley, Bachelder. You say Wismer Park or Hank or Lowry, you know? And so I just wanted to show you. So this is a village of 20 that's been in bottle. We can spit here. Perfect. For about 2 months, 3 months. It's getting there, but it's a big vintage, man. I mean, of course, you're used to BC, but I'm used to northern Pinot from BC, right? I love the northern Okanagan.
But we've been, since we started what we're doing, every second week we offer Ontario wine. So, and
You're bringing the country together.
oh, absolutely. We
Cartel, monsieur.
We did Nova Scotia last week. For the
With
first
who?
time.
Who?
With Domaine des Grands-Prés.
Yeah.
Oh, they're good, yeah.
Hans
Really good.
Peter and his family, they're lovely people.
Yeah, they're all good.
Absolutely.
You should do Lightfoot and Wolfville. Or
they-
BB.
Yeah, so like
Yeah. So, and then
A little conversation of Nova Scotia wine right in the Bat Cave. How freaking cool is that, eh?
it's mind blowing. I'll show you guys Carl's reaction in a minute. There'll be a few F-bombs, okay? But before that, I just want to show you guys, like, he took us behind the scenes, right? And he did something so cool. He organizes his cellar from east to west based on where the vineyards are located. So as you walk around the cellar, it's like walking around Niagara. It's freaking cool. How cool is that? So yeah, and then he's got this Bat Cave map, right? Like the world domination map here with all the vineyards kind of marked down. It is just so incredible.
And over here is full 2021.
Sitting
And waiting.
Oh, I should have left my glass there. That's okay. Sorry.
I've got all the lights on. It's not very romantic. I've got all the lights on when I'm working. So like this is Hank, you know, and then you have coming a little further down, Wismer Park. You're gonna have all these tonight or tomorrow night. They're just open, so it'll be a Lowry.
Well, definitely the Chardonnay are coming out tonight.
Then Wild West End, you'll have that. Saunders. And then
Yeah, so you get the idea. And then, of course, we get back to the car, right? And this is Carl's reaction.
Say that again.
The fuck just happened? I'm dreaming. No, it didn't happen.
So cool.
It didn't happen. Holy shit. Wow. A dream.
I love that. And I love what Thomas said, you know, we want people to dream of going to Niagara wine country like we dream of going to the French Niagara or the French wine country or the you know, all these amazing wine regions in the world. We have that right here. It's awesome.
We sure have. And you know what? In Canadian, especially or Canadian viticulture, like our people in the wine industry, we have an outstanding sense of hospitality. And it's just putting all of that together and create that that Canadian Wine Challenge, for God's sake, to create that buzz. That's what the people want it as much as our producer wants to give it to us. You know, because on Thomas' hands, on Thomas, like the producer, they are ready to welcome us. They need that desire from the consumer. Like if all of our people wants to go to Chile and wants to go to France and wants to go to Oregon and Napa Valley before like travel the world before they come to see our own producers, well, that's where we're like you know, there's a missing link somewhere, right? But people like Thomas, they're ready to host us. They're ready to share their knowledge and everything they have to us. And wow, being there, like it just revives so many great memories. And you playing that is absolutely freaking awesome.
Yeah, it was really, really great. Do it all, says Daryl. I agree.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so amazing.
It's getting late. I know we have a little clip in French as well.
Yes, we'll play that. But before we go anywhere, I want to wish a happy birthday to Vicky.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Vicky. One of our amazing members all of Ontario. We spent some time with her this summer, her and her husband. Happy birthday, friend. Hopefully you're having a good bottle tonight. Hopefully you're having a good piece of cheese. We know you like your cheese. And we just wish we were there with you, celebrating with you and Al. So all the best, my friend.
Happy birthday. Great. Well, should we jump in French for a little bit here for all our French wine lovers?
French.
It's not the same information. So if you can understand French a little like I do, it's still worth listening in. It's a few more minutes. And what's he talking about here?
Well, I was asking him, and that's something, it's funny, it's hard. Like sometimes when I transition from English to French, back to English, back to French, I start to like look for my words in French. So I had a hard start in French, but I'm just basically asking him, like, why did he came back home? In a sense that he went to school in Burgundy. He spent lots of years working in France. He had a project in Oregon. He raised this kid in the Pacific Northwest. What did breaks him back home in Canada, and why Niagara? So those are a little bit my question to him.
Well, let's find out.
Ici, en présence de Thomas Bachelder, Thomas natif de Montréal. Et puis, Thomas, un background très spécial beaucoup de temps passé en Bourgogne, du temps passé en Oregon. Thomas, après toutes ces années passées à l'extérieur du pays, c'était quoi la raison principale qui t'a ramené à la maison, qui t'a ramené au Canada? Qu'est-ce qui était si intéressant pour toi de revenir et de t'établir à Niagara après ces années en Bourgogne et en Oregon?
Mais en fait, on ne choisit pas tout, Carl, mais chaque fois que je dis, bah, OK, je vais écouter un autre, je vais prendre cette opportunité-là, je trouve quelque chose à aimer. Et quand j'ai quitté le Québec pour aller à l'école en Bourgogne, il n'y avait pas vraiment une industrie très forte. Il n'y avait pas de Chardonnay et Pinot, et c'est ce que je veux faire. Maintenant, il y en a au Québec, bien sûr. Bon, mais je suis allé en Oregon après. Et puis, je te dis que là, les enfants étaient jeunes en Oregon. Donc, on a tombé en amour avec l'Oregon. On a des amis qui ont les enfants de la même âge, juste comme toi, tu dois avoir en Colombie-Britannique. Et on adorait l'Oregon. Mais quand on est venu à Niagara pour le Clos Jordan en 2003, là, les enfants étaient à l'école primaire. Et puis, on a commencé à bâtir beaucoup d'amis ici, qu'ils sont toujours. Mais le gros changement pour nous, c'était quand on a quitté le Clos Jordan et on a démarré Bachelder. On a commencé à travailler en Oregon et en Bourgogne pour Bachelder. Et donc, Bachelder, c'était à l'époque, tu vois, c'était West Coast, c'était Oregon, Niagara et Bourgogne. Maintenant, on considère que le logo fait tout le Niagara. Et parce que le Niagara était toujours l'entrepôt le plus vide. Et puis, on se dit, ben ici, on fait 3 pays et où on vit, c'est toujours le plus vide. Mais écoute, on va expansionner ici, avoir la vie plus facile. Mais le fait de retravailler pour Bachelder en Bourgogne et en Oregon, ça nous a permis de fermer le cercle, de garder nos grands amis et de pas perdre de vue nos racines et de pas faire le deuil pour pas vivre en Bourgogne, pas faire le deuil pour pas vivre en Oregon. On reste en contact avec les deux places. On a fait beaucoup de vin en Oregon et Bourgogne pour Bachelder. D'ailleurs, il y en a qui vont venir à Canada quand on élimine tranquillement les stocks d'Oregon et Bourgogne. Mais on n'a pas fait du vin là depuis 15. Alors, ça nous a permis, depuis 2015, d'élargir l'offre de terroirs au Niagara, ce qu'on appelle cartographier Niagara, un vignoble à la fois. Et c'est ce qu'on veut faire, même si on ne possède rien. On a 2 caves et on ne possède pas de vignes, mais on va prendre cette opportunité d'aider Niagara à se définir.
C'est quoi si tu as une définition du terroir de Niagara? une typicité qui peut définir le terroir de Niagara dans toute sa précision, qu'est-ce que ce serait?
Ce serait, tu sais, que comme Team Canada, l'équipe Canada, on voyage souvent. Cette année, Team Canada, c'est plusieurs vignerons de l'Est et de l'Ouest et du Centre. Et quand on voyage, on doit expliquer en quelques mots ce concept exact. Et puis, comme cette année, Team Canada va à Londres au mois de mai, et puis à Copenhague et Provence, à Düsseldorf au mois de mars. Et les gens vont dire, vous faites du vin au Canada? Et on doit dire, oui, mais on est à Niagara. Ils vont dire, vers les chutes. Et on va dire, oui, les chutes tombent d'une falaise qui est calcaire. Et puis là, ils vont dire, ils sont là avec leur verre, tu es derrière la kiosque. Tu dis, écoute, où, sur cette même falaise où il n'y a pas de chute, il y a des vignes. Donc, c'est très marqué par la calcaire dolomitique. C'est en hauteur, c'est genre 150 jusqu'à 200 mètres. Et c'est en proximité du lac, le lac qui réchauffe l'escarpement en fin de saison. Donc, c'est un climat frais et c'est un climat qui nous permet à cueillir plus tard pour avoir plus de minéralité qui est déjà existante dans les sols. Et je pense que c'est ça. On fait des vins frais, mais avec beaucoup de minéralité.
Thomas, merci beaucoup. Très, très, très apprécié votre temps. J'apprécie votre passion. On apprécie vos vins. Un gros merci. On vous souhaite une très belle fin de journée. Thomas, thank you so very much for your time. It was just such a great time to share your passion with all of our members. So you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, man. Look forward to seeing you on your next trip.
Absolutely. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. How's that? How's that?
That's very special, is what that is.
Yeah, it is. It is. I feel privileged. It's you just finished that kind, and I have to say, it was 6 a.m. It was 6 a.m. when we started recording. So
we spared you guys the 6 a.m. Happy hour.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Very cool. I mean, tailgating, when we did that with Brian Schmidt at Vineland last summer, once in a lifetime experience. I know, Mike, you were there, Robin Michelle from Black Market, and then same kind of idea with Thomas. We got to do this again with members because it was so special to spend a little bit of time with him.
Yeah, no, it's just to share that with.
Yeah. So anyways, he's talking in French here again. Should I play it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try it again. Yeah, no, there's no
audio.
No audio. But yeah, he's telling us basically that, they like Gamay. So they started to make Gamay and they call it Les Violettes release.
Yeah.
Because, Gamay is a little bit purple.
Yeah.
And also his daughter's name is.
Oh, that's the main reason behind it, right? It's the name of his daughter.
Yeah. So it's really sweet. And he's just a wealth of incredible knowledge.
Absolutely.
Wow.
So, hey, this is Bachelor's Week. This is the week to get some incredible, amazing wines from Thomas Bachelder. Get on the link, look at the selection. We have 4 Chardonnays, 3 Pinots, 3 Gamays, all rated between 92 and 97 points. Get your bottle of Thomas Bachelder because there's some unique stuff there and some incredible wines to put in your cellar. And
Well, cheers.
Cheers to that.
Wednesday. Happy birthday again, Vicky, if you stop by again.
Cheers to everyone. Thank you very much, Mira Boucher, for another great and epic Wine Wednesday. Thanks to all of our members in French, in English, all across the country. Mario, thanks for sharing all of these information with us. What you have in your incredible collection, and a vertical or horizontal of Laurie Vineyard. Yeah, absolutely. I had the chance to taste the Leaning Post Laurie with Ilya Sanchuk last summer. So yes, I would be all for it. So everyone, Mira Boucher, Carl's Wine Club members, Canadian wine lovers, have a great rest of your day.
Cheers.